Today, we're delving into a crucial chapter in history: how the U.S. stole Puerto Rico. This story is key to understanding Puerto Rico's complex relationship with the United States. Let's explore how Puerto Rico came under U.S. dominance and the consequences that followed. Welcome to Infinite Curiosity. Before we dive into today's topic, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. It's easy to overlook that the U.S. still has territories that are not fully incorporated into the country. Instead of using the term colony, we often refer to these areas as unincorporated territories or commonwealths. These are places where people live under U.S. governance but don't have the same rights as other Americans. Today I want to focus on one such territory, Puerto Rico. When you're in Puerto Rico, you're not just in a tropical getaway, you're in a part of the United States. It feels like the U.S. in many ways, but it also has a unique character of its own. This blend of familiarity and distinctiveness didn't just happen by chance. It's actually a prime example of the extent to which the U.S. has gone to retain control over its territories. Let's delve into how the U.S. maintained its control over Puerto Rico, employing tactics of force, surveillance, and exploitation of both land and people. This is the story of how Puerto Rico came under U.S. dominance. In 1898, the Spanish Empire was on the decline. Many of its colonies were fighting for independence. The United States got involved, supporting these independence movements, but instead of freeing the colonies, they took control of them. One of these territories was Puerto Rico. On a seemingly ordinary Tuesday in the late 1800s, a quiet ceremony took place on the governor's balcony in San Juan. After 400 years under Spanish rule, Puerto Rico was transferred to the U.S. This marked the beginning of an extraordinary experiment for the U.S., one involving the extraction of resources, labor, and military strategic advantages from this beautiful island. The U.S. started by passing laws that gave them complete political control over Puerto Rico. American officials, often unfamiliar with the island's culture and language, were appointed to govern. Many of these leaders treated the role as a business opportunity. For example, one official directed public funds to American-owned businesses and stacked the government with loyalists. After resigning, he returned to establish a massive sugar empire, making it the largest in the world. Meanwhile, U.S. banks flooded the island with predatory loans, leading to widespread land foreclosures and the expansion of sugar farms. Puerto Rico began to transform into a sugar-centric economy, increasingly dependent on shipments from the mainland. The U.S. implemented a policy requiring all goods entering Puerto Rico to be transported by American ships, which drove up prices for locals. Additionally, the U.S. government devalued and banned the local currency, causing Puerto Ricans to lose nearly half their wealth overnight. Spanish was also banned from schools and public institutions, further eroding local culture and identity. In 1917, Puerto Ricans were granted U.S. citizenship, conveniently just as a major global conflict was underway. Puerto Rican men were drafted to fight for the country that was exploiting their homeland. By 1922, the Supreme Court had classified Puerto Rico as an unincorporated territory, meaning that the U.S. Constitution did not fully apply there. This term essentially indicated that Puerto Ricans did not fit the American mold enough to be fully integrated into the U.S. By the 1930s, major banks owned a significant portion of Puerto Rico's sugar and tobacco farms and controlled all the railroads and shipping facilities. During this period, Puerto Ricans were paid less than 4 cents an hour, which translates to about $1 an hour today. Poverty and malnutrition became widespread, while the island was increasingly used as a strategic military base. Puerto Rico's location made it ideal for protecting trade routes and refueling ships. Over time, more military bases and installations were established. The U.S. tested thousands of bombs on the island, leaving behind some of the most hazardous waste sites in the country. By the mid-1900s, Puerto Rico had become a symbol of low wages and abundant labor, a strategic military outpost, and a showcase of the U.S.'s imperial ambitions. The local population began resisting this dominance, led by Pedro Albizu Campos. Campos, who was once a poor kid from Puerto Rico who graduated valedictorian from Harvard Law School, served in World War I and helped draft Ireland's independence constitution. Upon returning to Puerto Rico, he pursued the goal of independence but found himself imprisoned for much of his life. As the nationalist movement gained momentum, they faced severe opposition. The U.S. responded by intensifying their surveillance and suppression efforts. FBI agents were dispatched to monitor anyone deemed a threat to their control. They gathered extensive information on activists and their associates, creating detailed files on them known as the carpetas. These files included personal details, criminal records, and even private conversations. The FBI's tactics included blackmail and intimidation, aiming to disrupt and undermine the independence movement. They spied on activists and their families, creating a pervasive atmosphere of fear and distrust. Despite the oppressive measures, the movement continued to grow. In the fall of 1950, the nationalists declared Puerto Rico an independent nation and attempted various actions, including seizing towns and setting fires. However, the U.S., being a global superpower, swiftly quashed these efforts. The suppression was brutal and effective, and the movement struggled to gain traction. This period of intense repression and conflict illustrates the lengths to which the U.S. went to maintain control over Puerto Rico, a territory that remains a testament to the complex and often troubling history of American imperialism. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe to Infinite Curiosity for more deep dives into historical events and other intriguing topics. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.